There were yet more tragic scenes of sorrow that we saw when we left those two cursed wretches accusing each other. One woman had flaming sulphur continually forced down her throat by a tormenting spirit. He did this with such horrible cruelty and insolence that I said to him, "Why should you so delight in tormenting that cursed wretch, and be pouring that flaming infernal liquid down her throat?" "This is more than just reward," replied the demon. "The woman in her lifetime was such a greedy wretch that though she had plenty of gold, she could never be satisfied. Therefore I now pour it down her throat. She cared not who she ruined as long as she could get their gold. And when she had gathered together a greater treasure than she could ever spend, her love of money would not let her spend enough of it to supply herself with her basic living needs. She often went with an empty stomach, though her money bags were full. She kept no house because she would not be taxed, and would not keep her money in her hands for fear she should be robbed. She would not put her money in bonds and mortgages for fear of being cheated, although she always cheated everyone that she could. She was so great a cheat that she cheated her own body of its food and her own soul of mercy. Since gold was her god on earth, is it not a just reward that she should have her belly full of it in hell?" While her tormentor had done speaking, I asked her whether this was all true. To this she answered me, "No, to my grief it is not." "Why is this not true?" I said, "and why are you grieved that it is not true?" "Because if what my tormentor told you is true," she said, "I would be satisfied. He tells you that he pours gold down my throat, but he is a lying devil and speaks falsely. If it was gold, I would never complain, but he mocks me, and instead of gold he gives me this horrible stinking sulphur. If I had my gold, I would still be happy, for I value it so much that if I had it, I would not part with it, even if an entrance to heaven could be bought." I told my angelic conductor that I was amazed to hear a wretch in hell itself so greedy for riches while forever being tormented. "This," he said, "may convince you that it is sin which is the greatest of all evils. When the love of sin controls the soul, it is the greatest of all punishments for them to be abandoned to that evil love. The love of gold, which that cursed soul is consumed by, is a far more fatal punishment than what the demons can inflict upon her here." "Oh," said I, "if only wicked men on earth could for one moment hear the horrid shrieks of these damned souls, they could not be in love with sin again. Eternal truth has told us otherwise. For those who will not fear his ministers, nor have regard to what his word contains, will not be warned, though one should come from hell." We had not gone much further before we saw a wretched soul lying on a bed of burning steel, almost choked with brimstone. He cried out with such dreadful anguish and desperation that I asked my conductor to wait. I heard him speak as follows: "Ah, miserable wretch, undone forever, forever! Oh, this killing word, forever! Will not 1,000,000 years be long enough to bear that pain, which, if I could not avoid it, I would not endure it for even one moment, for the sake of being offered 1,000,000 worlds? No, no, my misery will never have an end. After millions of years it will still be forever. Oh, what a helpless and hopeless condition I am in! It is this forever that is the hell of hell. Oh, cursed wretch, cursed to all eternity! How wilfully have I undone myself! Oh, what stupendous folly am I guilty of, to choose sin's short and momentary pleasures at the dear price of everlasting pain! How often I was told it would be so! How often I was encouraged to leave those paths of sin that brought me to the chambers of eternal death. But I, like a dumb animal, would not listen to those pleadings. Now it is too late to change it, for my eternal state is fixed forever. Why was I made a person that I would choose this fate? Why was I made with an immortal soul, and yet take so little care of it? Oh, how my neglect stings me to death! Yet I know I cannot die. I live a dying life, worse than 10,000 deaths. And yet I once could have changed all this, but did not. Oh, that is the gnawing worm that never dies. I might once have been happy. Salvation was offered to me, and I refused it. Had salvation been offered to me only once, it would have been an unforgivable folly to refuse it. But salvation was offered me 1,000 times, and yet, wretch that I was, I still as often refused it. O cursed sin, that with deluding pleasures leads mankind to eternal ruin! God often called, but as often I refused. He stretched his hand out, but I would not mind it. How often have I ignored his counsel? How often have I refused his reproof? And now the scene is changed, the case is altered. Now he laughs at my calamity, and mocks at the destruction which has come upon me. He would have helped me once, but I would not accept his help. Therefore these eternal miseries I am condemned to undergo are but the just reward of my own doing. I could not hear this sorrowful lamentation without thinking about the wonderful grace that God has shown to me. Eternal praises to his holy name. For my heart told me that I had deserved eternal judgment as much as this sad wretch, but that God's grace alone had made us different. Oh, how unsearchable are his counsels! Who can fathom his divine decree? After these thoughts I spoke to my sorrowful complainer, and told him I had heard his woeful complaint. I saw that his misery was great, and his loss irreparable, and told him I would willingly hear more about this, if it might possibly help lessen his suffering. No, not at all. My pains cannot be relieved even for one small moment. But by your question, I understand that you are a stranger here, and may you ever be a stranger. Ah, had I but the least hope still remaining, how I would kneel and cry and pray forever to be redeemed from this hell. But it is all in vain. I am lost forever. But so that you will be warned about ending up here, I will tell you what the damned suffer.